Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new, welcome to this channel. My name is Elle Ramaila. That surname is going to change. I'm working on it because the girl is finally married, but I will announce my new surname soon, just not now. Welcome to my channel. On this channel, it's all about learning, growth, and contribution. Now, it's a new year, 2023, and some of you on the CASA journey are going to start your articles, and I thought it would be good to do this video just to give you some experience as to how it was starting articles as a mother. I know it's an exciting journey in general to start working. For some of you that it is your first employment, others you're coming back into a different game. Maybe you are doing the CASA journey coming from another career option, but this is an exciting time, and I think I've already spoken about this in one of my previous videos, that your articles are what you actually make of them, right? But I think it's also important to also give you insight as to what challenges you're going to be facing as a mother, and also what joys can come from doing your articles as a parent. But this is just my experience to you that can be helpful to all the mothers that have the nerves, man. The nerves, especially when we are embarking on other journeys that do not pertain to our kids. Well, that's just how I felt. So on this video, I'll be covering the challenges that I faced and also how I built myself up or set myself up in such a way that I could do it. Do you know what I mean? So the first thing that is very big is your mom guilt is going to be through the roof, because being in your training contract, this is a very demanding 3 years work-wise. That mom guilt settles in. For me, it was almost immediate. Zoe was only a year and 5 months or 6 months when I started my articles, and at that time I was still breastfeeding, and I wanted to breastfeed until she was 3, guys. There were so many health benefits, and there is actually so many health benefits to breastfeeding. My child was never sick. She was always happy. She was always excited. Man, she was healthy, guys. So I didn't want to stop breastfeeding, and there's a connection when you are breastfeeding with your child, right? So I understood her, she understood me, and so that's one of the first things that I kind of had to give up, was breastfeeding. And it took me maybe January and February stepping away from breastfeeding. It was painful, guys. I think it was more painful for me than it was for her. I mean, she didn't want to get off the boob at any point in time, but I just felt like I am depriving myself, or I'm depriving my child of the nutrients that she actually needs, because I have the juice, right? Granted, yes, there's formula, but the juice is more healthier coming from me. That's how I felt. So I really did struggle with coming to the idea that I had to give up breastfeeding. And so the transition of not giving her breast milk was a bit challenging. The fact that she didn't want to take any type of bottle, I tried every single bottle, shape, size, brand that you can think of, and she just refused. So I had to stop breastfeeding. The other thing was, because I understood and I've done my research as to how intrusive, if I could put it like that, your article year is, I just realized that I probably could not deal with my mom guilt if Zoe was in the same house as me. Now, guys, I know it's a bit questionable, and I know some of you might have your own views and opinions, but I'm one person that likes to be present in my child's life. Now, ironically, I don't like being in a space where I'm present in someone's life physically, but my mind is not there. That will literally destroy me, right? So I wanted, and I knew my family was willing to take her in, and also the fact that I wanted her to be with people that were presently there and mentally there to feed into her. There was no point if she was going to be living with me and I'm stressed most of the time and I'm lashing out at her. And so I leaned into the support that my family graciously gave me, and so she wasn't living with me throughout my articles, but that still didn't mean that I had all the time in the world. And that is my second point, that the second challenge with being a trainee is the lack of flexibility. Granted, the fact that every day I was going to work during the week, on weekends I had to be a mom and step into that role, and so the flexibility during the week was not there, because all I could do was work, work, work. Now, even getting on calls with my daughter used to make me like cry all the time, because I really battled in my mind to say, is this really worth it? Like, I just left my child, what's going to happen? But for me, I just realized that this situation was temporary, and this was like the best outcome that I could come to terms with. And so it didn't matter that the lack of flexibility was taking that much of a strain in that moment, because I understood that this too shall pass. There isn't a lot of flexibility. If your child is living with you, there might be less of lack of flexibility or more of lack of flexibility, because of the fact that you knock off work and now you also have to think about cooking, feeding your child, playing with your child, doing all of that. So it does get a bit stressful, you know, a lot stressful actually. I shouldn't downplay it. So kudos to you, mom, if you are on this journey and being there with your loved ones and raising your child. Just know that that's going to require the people around you to take on more responsibility, because of the lack of flexibility that you will have for your personal life and for your personal responsibilities, because the workload is so demanding, especially when you are in audit, and especially if you are in a big four firm where there is a lot of deadlines and listed clients, and there's a lot of responsibility as to expectations that people might have of you. So that's a lot. Other thing is there's a lack of your own downtime. Like, I realized because of the fact that I was like employee for 5 days of the week and then parent for 2 days of the week, there wasn't a lot of time that Lesego spent for herself, right? And I really did struggle with that concept, because I thought to myself that you don't deserve to rest because you are on the clock 24/7, right? So there is a lack of your own downtime, where there isn't much time for you to listen to music or go out with your friends or go out with your family or do things that actually make you happy. So it is a Debbie Downer, but I really feel like it's how you view what is happening in the moment, and realizing again that the situation is temporary, right? Yes, there is going to be moments where you are going to feel frustrated and feel like nobody understands, especially all those 2000s or those Gen Zs that are really stressing about the cost of an Adidas shoe, when you know that you have to spend money on clothes for your child and you have responsibilities at home. Like, it really does get frustrating when the conversations around you don't necessarily mirror your reality. So make sure that even though there is a lack of your own downtime, that you are checking in with yourself. That is a conscious decision, because you won't necessarily have that time. You need to make that time. Now, for me, on the flip side, how I managed for it to work for me is that I showed up at work 200 out of 100%. Like, I realized and recognized that my situation is very different from the person next to me, right? So I was not competing and I was not comparing myself to the next person. I knew my baggage and I knew the only way for me to have an upper hand in this corporate office is to put my best foot forward and to work harder and smarter than the next person. And so I always committed over and above what I really needed to do, because I knew that that was going to save me on those days where Zoe was sick, or where Zoe needed to do something at school, or I really just needed time to not be in the office. But that could only be done if I really showed my best foot forward and earned the next person's trust. Now, that brings me to my second point, that when you walk into corporate, nobody trusts you. I don't want to lie to you guys. I want to be as honest as I can be. This is not just in corporate. This is in relationships in general. You don't walk in there and people trust that you can do what you can do. You earn trust. Like, you really need to show up and show somebody that this is what I can produce and I can produce it well. And from that posture, people can actually trust you and know that if you say, I'm not coming into the office today, they know that you're going to get the work done. But if you're slacking or you don't give people enough room to work with what you have, it's going to be a very, very difficult journey as a parent, because you can't predict when you need those actual days to attend to your child, and you can't escape from it and realize that you can't necessarily go to that very same thing because you haven't been performing at work, right? You kind of need to give people leverage to actually trust that you can produce. So know and recognize that you're going to have to work harder than the next person, and you don't necessarily need to be competing with the people around you. The other thing is be teachable, right? I always say, before you can be your best self, you also need to be teachable. Always be humble to the idea and the fact of your reality that your life might not look like the next person that is starting articles fresh from varsity. They're excited about working, and here you come with your, I am a parent, when I get home I need to go do bedtime stories and I need to do bath times and all of that stuff. So you need to be as teachable as possible from your second years, from your third years, from your managers, from your partners, wherever this information is coming from. Humble yourself and know that for you to actually excel, you also need to be equally teachable. The biggest thing that also helped me was building relationships. Good relationships, not just relationships with my peers and fellow first years and second years and third years. Yes, that's all great and amazing, but the relationships that you need to be really cultivating is the ones with your managers and your partners. And I'll tell you why, right? In the office, when you are there and you tell them that I need to not come to the office, right? All you need to explain yourself to is your managers and your partners, not necessarily your trainees, and having a session where you guys are venting about how there's lack of flexibility, etc. But if you establish those solid relationships with the right people, your managers, the people that you report to, your partners, the people that you actually report to that matter in this company, it's much easier for you to do the things that you actually need to do as a parent. Now, it does come with the sense of the next person might think, Wena, you are a bit of a favorite, right? And that's not your portion. That's not what you should be worrying about. It's because you understand your situation that you need to establish these solid relationships with leadership, because they are the ones that are going to approve your leave. They are the ones that are going to approve your day off or you working from home while the whole team is like stuck at the office having to push up until midnight or 2 a.m. because it happens in audit, right? Where you have these deadlines where you have to be there at work for a certain amount of hours. But that's not your portion. You can't necessarily be there for 15 hours in the day when you know you've got a child to attend to at home. So those are just a few things that at the top of my head I can think of as a parent, that you need to build those solid relationships. You need to show 200% out of 100%, show up for yourself. You need to be teachable. And the other thing is you need to learn to work smart. Don't just work hard and work from a place of how many hours can I put in. It's all about how efficient can I be in an hour, as opposed to how much time I'm spending in the office. You need to be able to produce quality work in a short space of time if you want to make the relationship with your family, with your child work, is to know that time is not necessarily on your side. And again, the training contract is taxing. It doesn't have a lot of time, but the fact that you have this responsibility that you love and you care for, the sacrifice is from a place of love, right? So it will take you much time to like get adjusted to the process, but I really feel like with a positive attitude, with a loving attitude, with the support of your family, it can be done. But let me know what else you would want to know from my experience in my articles. I'd be glad to share it with you. But I hope these tips and the insight on the challenges as to what you can look forward to can put you at ease and just help you have a good and amazing experience in your articles. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.